I was also in that season where it's like he was now talking to me. Because every time I would switch on the TV, I would see somebody I was with in high school. We were in the same class. I was in Limuru Girls. Someone I was with in high school, they're on TV. Tomorrow somebody else I was in high school was in TV. And I'm like, what have I become? When did I sink
that low?
This low? To the point of drinking some other cheap, disgusting things. I don't shower. Because people who use substances rarely shower. I mean, for me, roll-on was just the thing of the day. Because the time I'd written a book, I said I loved alcohol so much that if my shower was made of vodka, I'd be showering every day. I had become a lesser version of what I was supposed to be. I'd become so thin that I would wear 2 pairs of jeans to feel like I have meat on my bones. Anytime someone would call me, they want to cancel me or something, and they send me fare, I would actually get to town. But when I see people I know, I hide. Because what do I look like? It's not me.
No.
You see? So a few days later, my dad comes. And I didn't hear him. First, there's a doorbell, but there's no door. And I had earphones. I don't even know what I was doing in the kitchen because there was nothing. There's no food.
They took even the main.
Yes.
So I
have no doors. I only have
in
a
a house without
doors. The only thing keeping us safe is the gate. And sometimes I'd even forget to lock that gate when I'm high. And it's now me and my daughter only in that house. When I say I'm a product of mercy, take it from me as gospel truth. I literally mean that. So my dad comes in. He looks around. He doesn't even say hi. He asks me, where are your things? Where are the doors in vernacular? Where are your things? Where are your doors? Why you auctioned? Again. I now have the courage to talk to him because I have alcohol in my head. I start crying. He said, no, I don't have money. I don't have a job. I don't know what. He asked me, excuse me, where is the baby? I don't know. I know she's somewhere in the compound. He tells me, I started telling you in 2007, you have a problem. This is 2017. Look at you now. He said, you are named after my mom, and I loved my mom so much. May God rescue you. I'm a phone call away. He didn't even look for his granddaughter and the way they are besties today. He just entered his car and left. I cried. Alcoholics, the tears are normally here. I cried. After he had left, I've gathered myself together. I'm like, now who do I call? Who do I call? There were some people I could still call on my Facebook, on my phone. So I sent someone a please call me. I gave him a long story. That day I really gave a long one. I think I was sent 2K or something. Yeah. Christmas has come early. But funny enough, that day, even after I drank, I don't know, I just felt something really weird. My house had become so dark. I had covered all my mirrors with black. I couldn't look at myself. You know, anyone who is struggling with an addiction will tell you, you start feeling old and you start feeling ugly. No one even has to tell you. You just feel it yourself. So the following day, I said, this is too much. So I contemplated suicide, and I'd even gone and bought the rat poison. So my plan was to, give up my daughter. My son was already. My son, where we had reached, the reason he was in boarding school is because I used to fight him physically. My alcohol would show me to beat up my son. He was so scared of me that he used to sleep with a knife under his pillow.
A knife?
Yes. To protect, because I had really wounded that boy.
To protect himself from the mother.
Now, the guy is taller than me as we speak. I can't even try something like that. I would see fire and brimstone. And so my plan was now to do that and take the medicine and just finish it. Because where I reached, you really couldn't sink anything.
Yeah.
But then I remember my Christian background and I'm like, you commit suicide, you have just started more problems, eternal problems for you. So I was not able. So I remember sending my dad a please call me. And he called me and I told him I want to see you. He said, you know where we live, you come. Finding my way to their home was a task. I'm having withdrawals. I'm sweating alcohol. My daughter was to breastfeed. I have no money. I'm hungry. Got to their place. He asked me, okay, you have come. What can I do? I told him, I need help. I want to go to rehab. He said, are you sure? I said, yes. Quickly organized, I got into rehab voluntarily. But where the alcohol had taken me was so bad that I couldn't, when you enter rehab, there's something called an intake form. I could see my name in my head, but I couldn't write it. I'd even forgotten how to speak. Because the only people I used to speak to were the barmaid, my daughter who is 6 months, really there's nothing I'm telling her. I never used to speak to anybody. So there's a way my brain had begun to shut down. So I got into rehab and I rededicated my life to Christ. And asked the Holy Spirit just do something. And me, overnight, and I mean literally overnight. The following day I woke up a noisemaker. After a few weeks I was made chair lady of the rehab. The person who owned that rehab saw something in me that I had not seen in myself. And she said, I'm an orator. And she's the one who introduced me now to the limelight. And so after I left rehab one day to my 37th birthday. And she introduced me to the limelight. And my first place to actually speak now openly about my struggle with alcoholism was on MBCI in Nakuru. And I think that just opened a wildfire. Because it had been a very long time before they had heard about a woman who's talking about her struggle with alcohol. The first person to do it publicly is a lady called Anne Matthew, who is the vice chair Nakada. She's a personal friend. And that had been a long time ago. So here comes Carol. And then our doors start opening. Media is calling me. And nobody prepared me for this. You see? Now I've moved from Kalewa
to yes.
something else. And then now I was put on a platform called Engage, Safaricom.
Yes, I did see you.
And that is what just changed the trajectory of my life. And I remember my mother and my former pastor used to tell me, every time you speak your story, give the glory to God. But anybody who is honest and they've been in the limelight for long will tell you that goes to the back of your mind. Now you think it's on your own strength. And then COVID hit in 2020. 2019, I was invited to speak in the US. And they were paying for everything. And then COVID hit. And Mutahi Kagia announced lockdown. I cannot tell you how I walked from my house to the liquor store. And bought a 750 ml.
Back to square one.
Me, who has told people about alcohol, taught them, even gone to school, studied addiction. And now here I am. And my son, who has always kept my secrets, was the one who told my dad. Because my son he couldn't believe it. He was shocked. He asked me, Mommy, are you drinking?
How old was he at this point?
That was 2019. That was how many years ago? 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. 5 years ago, he was 13. 13 thereabout. He called my dad because he had a phone. And my dad, even him, was like, there's no way. So, to hide it, I became a closet drinker. Closet drinkers are those who hide. I used to hide in my bedroom, lock myself up and drink, but surely alcohol has a smell. And even if it doesn't smell, that particular brand, your behavior will sell you. Because I didn't have a nanny, so I'm the one who's cooking. Sometimes the food is
burning.
It's burning, and I'm a good cook, thankfully. But so the story went round and it went round and it went round. Caro is drinking. So the second time I was put in rehab involuntarily. And that was a week after I had been on another media station talking about my struggle with alcohol. And I told that particular media house, I don't want to do this story. Because I knew the following week I'm going to rehab. They said, no, you must do it. I find myself in rehab again.
How did you get to rehab?
I was taken, but I was not for it. I was not for it. Yeah. I was taken to a different rehab. I was supposed to be there for 12 months. It's a Christian rehab. I did 3 months and that was it. For me, I said I can't do 12 months. I had heard by this time that my son had started becoming depressed. My daughter was not eating, so I left. But for me, that was a wake-up call. There have been lapses in between all that, but now I can comfortably say that I'm solid, I'm stable.
I read in one of your stories, there's a point in time when your father counted
the bottles. Yeah, and he found about 800 bottles. But I
drank at over
6 months. And I used to drink alone. I'm a product of mercy. Yes.
800 bottles within 6 months.
And he sent the picture to one of my brothers via WhatsApp. Yeah. When I say tolerance, my tolerance levels are dangerously high. I actually mean that. So I get into rehab and I come out. And now, from that time, I've been very passionate about speaking, especially about women. Because the stigma is so real, Pamela. It's insane. It's insane. The number of women I know. I did a story with one of the top content creators in this country. And here is where I talked about the struggle that especially women are having in the church with alcohol. When that interview went out, the women who are reaching to me in my inbox were female pastors who said that on Sunday they are at the altar, but after church they are ordering their drinks online. Because you cannot go to a liquor store.
No, you can't.
You're known as Pastor Nani. You cannot send your Boda guy. Your Boda guy will discuss you. So you use these online stores because they have no allegiance to you. They don't know you. They don't care. So there are a lot of female pastors who are struggling with alcoholism. And that's where I knew for real there's a problem in the church. I'm a believer, I'm a born again Christian. But that problem is real. And people are not addressing it.
No. This problem with women, especially, let's say women in church, what do you think is the cause? Why is it escalating so fast?
It's escalating. You know, we are all the same, whether you're in the church or you're not.
Yes. Okay, so let's talk about women and alcohol. What is it that is triggering?
Women and alcohol, what triggered first, the numbers from research grew during the time of COVID. And it started, I think, on the home front, whereby now you're at home, there's no work, you don't know what else to do. So you start ordering a drink, a kawain, the way they call it kawain. Then you realize this kawain is not so strong, let me try something stronger. Then it grew. But I think also women are also going through their own cycle of things, because just like men, depression, anxiety, suicidal ideation, children, work, relationships, money.
They are overwhelmed by issues in life.
So it's catching up with us. But for me, I started seeing this thing when I was still drinking back in 2007, because I would go with my clique of girls, and you enter a club and the people seated at the counter are women with their cigarettes and their alcohol. Not like a long time ago where it was counter was male dominated. Nowadays it's women, and women sit in their groups or in their chamas, and they don't want men there. Why? Because they are financially independent. As we came to have our drink, do our chama thing, and go home. Nobody ever thought that women can actually become alcoholics. My dad was telling me that in our culture, I don't know if it's the same in your culture, that women were only allowed to drink when the last child had left home. In our culture, it's that way. That's when a woman was allowed to have a drink. When the last child has left, now you have no responsibilities, you have no obligations. But by that time, what would you really want a drink for anyway? You're in your 60s, I mean, really, it beats the purpose. But what is even more saddening is that even old women are struggling with alcohol. I visited a client in a rehab earlier this year, and I found 2 women in slippers, and you know, they looked like they were at home, and I asked, are these clients or who are these? I was told they are clients. What are they here for? They're alcoholics. Who brought them here? They're grandchildren. Those are women in there. They look like they're
grandchildren.
Yes, they're in their late 60s, early 70s.
So what can be attributed to them?
Some of these people, I think it's depression that has piled up along the way. Maybe a broken marriage, a broken business. Some of these things you can't tell now. You can't tell. There is no clear indicator as to this one became an alcoholic because of this. Women are becoming alcoholics because of this. The trajectory of life has just changed. But one thing that we need to address, or for me I choose to address, is the issue of women and alcohol, because we are the home bearers. We are the child bearers. If these issues are not addressed, especially from an early age, then I feel sorry for the children who are being born from women who are struggling with alcohol. Because these children they are called the alcoholic seed. And if you're a woman who is drinking and you get into a relationship and say a child with a man who is drinking, chances of that child becoming an alcoholic are 90%. That stigma needs to be broken now. There is no shame. Alcoholism cuts across gender, and that's a thing that people need to realize now. It cuts across whether you're Christian, Buddhist, Muslim. I have a Muslim client that I'm dealing with. Okay, it cuts from Monday to Friday. She's wearing the regalia and going to the mosque. So it cuts across every dimension. And the sooner we address this thing and stop having this conversation silently, the better. People need to start speaking. I remember for me I came out publicly and I asked for blessings from my parents before I started, because I said I'm going to talk. This thing happened to me for a reason. I'm alive to speak about this thing for a reason.
So it is after the second rehab that you started
Speaking
out.
No. I started speaking after the first one.
Yeah.
Then I fell. And after I left rehab, you're not allowed to have a phone. I switched on my phone like this. I'm seeing, I don't know which media house was looking for me. This one. So I avoided media houses for a very long time. Finally, one caught up with me. And she asked me, where have you been? We've been looking for you. I said, no, I can't do this thing. So I started going back to media, and my dad would listen to my stories on TV. So one time he calls me and says, you're not being authentic. I ask him, what do you mean? He says, tell the people the truth.
You are not saying the truth?
Tell them what happened. I said, what do you mean? He said, stop pretending you don't know what I'm saying. Tell them you relapsed. He said, if you are not going to tell them you relapsed, then you have no authority.
Yeah.
I said, this man is being too tough, Yawa. So the first time I actually spoke about my relapse, I spoke about it on TV and I switched off my phone. Because people can be so mean. I was not ready for the stones that would be thrown. Imagine nobody threw stones. Nobody.
You were just imagining.
I was just imagining because I'm an overthinker.
Yeah.
But by the grace of God, I thank Him for...
And you know that it is such imagination that makes people not speak.
Yeah.
They just imagine people will judge them.
Yeah.
But again, we are telling the society, you do not judge.
Yeah.
You do not know somebody's story.
Yeah.
Do not judge.
Yeah.
You do not know when it will catch up with you.
It's true.
Or your child or your grandchild or whatever.
But let me tell you, to reach that point where you can speak publicly about some things, you have also to reach a point mentally where you're prepared for anything.
Yeah.
Because sometimes the people will hit you are from your family.
Many times.
Many times you'll be hit from your family.
Yeah.
The stranger who doesn't know you is the one who will even walk with you. But the one who is around you is the one who can throw the stones that will hit the hardest.
The problem is the holier than thou attitude of people.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yet even those people, if you dig deeper, they are struggling with issues.
Yeah.
May not even be issue of alcoholism or addiction, but they are struggling with issues.
Everybody is struggling with
an issue.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And now, like for alcoholism, we used to say, a long time ago it used to be, that family of that person, family of so-and-so is struggling. But nowadays it's literally every family. And if you're not infected, you're affected.
You are affected.
Yeah. And that's why they say alcoholism particularly is not a spectator sport. It's a family disease. Because if your son is infected, you're affected.
You are affected.
You don't know where he is.
Yeah.
You don't know who he's with. Is he dead? Is he alive?
You don't, exactly.
You get high blood pressure. How many parents do I know who are suffering from hypertension?
And then also you suffer because many a times you want to cover up.
Yeah.
You do not want it to be to blow out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But let me tell you, if people will talk about this thing as openly as they talk about cancer, diabetes, it would be easier. In the West, I love how they are doing it. Oh my God. I don't know if we will ever reach there. People speak about this thing publicly.
Slowly, one step at a time. This is what I was telling you. Issues, mental health are not spoken.
Yeah.
Under normal circumstances, you talk of mental health, people think of the mad person.
Yes.
But we are all having mental issues to deal with.
Yes.
It depends on how we are dealing with it.
Yes.
If we are able to speak to somebody about it, if we are not shy about it. But again, if the society does not stigmatize me for speaking out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's true. I agree with you fully. And if you've also noticed, I don't know if in your line of work you've noticed, also the rates of depression have really escalated.
Very, very high.
Yeah.
Very high.
Depression, suicide, and suicidal ideation.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
They're very high.
Families killing each other.
Yeah.
Parents killing children.
Yeah.
Spouses killing each other. This is all mental health issues.
It is.
But we do not want to speak about it.
You don't want to speak about it. Who wants to hear Pamela has a mental issue?
Yeah.
Pamela has a mental issue. Just the way we used to hear the word rehab.
Yeah.
What would be the first thing that would come into your head if you hear rehab? Madare. Madare. Madare and rehab were put in the same sentence.
Yeah.
But yet Madare and rehab
are two different.
Yeah, rehab is not for mad people.
No.
I did a TikTok video on rehab, and I really tried to explain to people what rehab is. It's not a death sentence. If it can prolong even the life of your loved one for even 6 months, it's better. At least you know where they are. They are eating, they are sleeping, they're not using substances,
and
they are being taught
that they are going to come from there a better person
if they choose to.
If they choose to,
because
True.
your mindset is also very important.
So again, it is said that if you involuntarily go to rehab, you can never. It doesn't help.
No.
But when you voluntarily go to rehab, then it helps.
Can I surprise you? Do you know the cases of people who go to rehab voluntarily are the ones who relapse faster, and the guys who go in involuntarily. Yeah, me, I went involuntarily. I said I want to go, but for me, when I think about it later, and in fact, my brother who follows me told me the reason you chose to go to rehab voluntarily is because you had hit rock bottom. Chances are, if someone had offered you a job at that time,
you would have.
I would have taken the job, and it's true. So many times you go to rehab. I've dealt with people who go to rehab voluntarily, and they come in with their demands. Oh, I want my laptop. I want to be able to call my wife.
That is very true.
I want to do. Yeah. So they come in with their own preconceived ideas of how their lives should live. After all, and that was brought myself, and they don't last long when they leave the facility. In comparison to people who've been brought in involuntarily, either by police, or they were drugged, or they were put some medication called a stopper, they were taken in. Once their minds clear and they realize, chances of them not relapsing are higher. Yeah. Funnily enough. Yeah.
Now, how come you say your brother started drinking before you?
Yeah.
How come it's you who started later and became alcohol?
You'd be surprised.
Addicted.
No, actually, we are 5 siblings. 3 of us have been to rehab.
More
than once. First born, second born, third born.
Is this a case of generational?
No.
It's just
things that happened. They say, in fact, someone was saying, I was in Nakanda training recently, and they were saying we are all predisposed at some point. For example, do you have anyone in your lineage who had an alcohol problem? It was Pamela. Yes.
We have people. We have people who drink, who have alcohol problems.
Yeah. So even you're predisposed.
Yes.
Yeah. So even you're predisposed.
And also, even if there are people who I do not know, probably earlier, much earlier, there was somebody. Yeah. So I'm just saying what you're saying is true. Yeah. All of us.
We are all genetically predisposed.
Yes.
So we can no longer use that as an excuse. Oh, you know, there's this genetic predisposition in my family, so it has finally caught up with me. It's just the same with somebody, there's diabetes in their family. It's in the genes. If you know it's in the genes, then avoid the sugar. You see? You know you have alcohol in your family. There's a problem. Avoid the alcohol. So you can never use that as an excuse anymore, because we're all predisposed to one thing or another.
At this particular point in time, can you sit with people who are drinking and you comfortably take your soft drink?
For me, I choose not to. First of all, I think it's because of my faith. I choose also not to put myself in such a space. Yeah. I don't see the point. Yeah. I don't see the point. I think all my cousins drink. All my cousins drink. The smell of alcohol nowadays irritates me. And for me, I think it's a matter of prayer. I've really prayed for that thing to leave me.
How did you stop smoking?
I stopped smoking even before I went to rehab the first time. By this time, I was already tired of cigarettes.
You purposed?
I only struggled with it for like a month when I was in rehab. So I would drink up to 3 liters of water to quench that thirst that comes here. Because prior to that, I had tried everything. Then nicotine patches, then nicotine gum. I had really tried to quit smoking. It's a dirty habit. It's so unhealthy, especially for a woman. I had really struggled with this thing. So for me, it left, and it left completely. I've never looked back. So I've been off cigarettes for quite some years now.
What is the effect of an alcoholic, drinking while pregnant? Does it affect the child?
Absolutely. Some children grow up with a condition called, first of all, you can Let me use me. Me, I've had 2 miscarriages as a result of alcohol. Between my son and my daughter, I've lost 2 babies. That was me. Another thing, in fact, the question, I think even before we go there, the right question would be, what does prolonged alcoholism do for women? It can lead to early menopause. I have a friend who reached menopause at the age of 28.
Because of drinking?
Yes, and it's irreversible. She'll never have children. There's also the breast cancer. There's the...
Or alcoholism can cause...
Yes, it can cause uterine cancer. It has more effects on women than it does on men due to our biological makeup. There are children who are born with mothers who've been drinking who suffer a condition called fetal alcohol syndrome distress, FASD, whereby the child looks like they have a condition called Down syndrome. You know, the small eyes, the big head, the unstable movements. Not all, but some. And for others, they have slow brain development. They're very slow in school. How they catch things because of all the alcohol, and then on top of that you add cigarettes, then others add even marijuana. So that child is born with so many health conditions that a parent will have to struggle with. That child, that poor innocent child, and the parent will struggle for the rest of their lives because this kid is always in and out of hospital, meaning it's eating into the finances of this woman who did not know better,
and eating into the psychological health also.
Yes.
Because at the back of your mind, you know, I caused this.
Of course.
You live with it for the rest of your life.
You will live, that is true. You will live with that the same way a woman who has had an abortion lives with that guilt. It never goes away. I don't think it can.
No.
And actually, you know, you've actually brought in a very good angle. We should next time talk about the effects of alcohol on women.
It's very, very...
I always tell women, pick a struggle, either to mother or to drink.
Or to drink.
You can't do both. Pick a struggle. Maybe when your child is older, you can choose to drink. I don't see the point though. But you cannot do both. If you deal with children who are called ACOA, adult children of alcoholics, adult children of alcoholics, children who grew up with alcoholic parents and now they're adults. They give you some of the stories that they are struggling with now. They are very painful to listen to. Adult children of alcoholics end up marrying alcoholics or hating the habit. But even if they hate the habit and they don't go for therapy, those
they
things
have
follow
issues
them.
in their marriages.
And in their lives, even in their relationships. If the father was an alcoholic, they choose men who are like their fathers. Or the trajectory is very, it's very distant. So unless you go for therapy, and even with therapy you need God to come into your space, it becomes a very hard way to live. So that's why I'm very passionate, because I see what it does. I see what I could have done to my children. I see how my son struggled in his early years, having a mother who was emotionally and physically unavailable.
So how did your lifestyle affect particularly your son?
I was a very angry boy. Very angry, very resentful, and also very fearful. Because we were very close when he was younger. Then all of a sudden, I'm nowhere. I'm nowhere. So it's been a journey of going for therapy, of healing, reconciling, forgiving each other. Now we talk as friends, not even as mother and son. We talk as friends. He's a Gen Z. These ones, you have to bring them close. And my son said he can write a book about me because of the things he has seen. So now we talk. And I'm at that place where I tell my kids the way it is. I give it to them raw.
How old is your daughter
She's
now?
9.
She's 9. How is she?
She's cool people. She says, Mommy, I used to drink. She used to behave weird.
She tells you that.
Then they start mimicking me in the sitting room. I'm like, Shindwe. But now we laugh about it.
Yeah.
There was a time we couldn't laugh about it.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, now we laugh about it, but when I feel they've come too much, change my face, they're like, okay, fine. Yeah. So, especially in this dispensation, for those who are watching this, who will watch this, parents in this age group of mine, in their 40s, who have children, make your children your friends. Have conversations with them, not confrontations.
Yeah.
As we grew up being confronted, and when you're told something, you don't ask why. You do. These ones, you will tell them to do something, they want an answer, and it's an answer that needs to make sense.
Yeah.
Otherwise, if you bring these ones up the way as were brought up, they'll go and meet other dysfunctional ones outside there. Then you have problems in your house. Yeah.
How is your relationship with your parents now?
My dad continues to be my friend.
Especially your mother.
That is a conversation for another day. That's a conversation for another day.
Yeah, but at least you being a mother now, there is some level of understanding.
I'll drink my water in peace.
Okay, now I think we have done quite a bit.
Yeah.
Now I want you to now the parting shot. What is there anything first of all that you would have rather we should have covered and you think we haven't?
For this particular episode, no. But my parting shot would be that there's no shame in speaking up about your struggles, especially as a female. There's no shame. The shame would be in choosing to continue living in that cycle and refusing to do anything about it. Failure is not falling down.
No.
Failure is falling down and refusing to get up.
Yes.
And so help is available. I mean, do I give my contacts?
Yeah.
So help is available. My social media handles are Facebook, Caroline Kagia, Caroline Kagia Wellness Initiative, TikTok, Caroline Kagia. My email address is carolinekagiawellness@gmail.com, and my phone number is 0797 759 386.
And you are an author, isn't it?
I am an author. I wrote a book called Still I Rise. That was edition 1. I wanted to release another one before September. I don't see, but God willing, towards the end of the year, I will do the second book. Yes.
Thank you so very much.
Thank you. This is therapeutic for me.
This is it's a very valuable conversation. And I'm sure we are going to go into others.
Yes.
Especially those other ones
Yes.
that are story for another day.
Yes.
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 But thank you so much for watching this episode. And to anyone who is struggling with addiction, you have seen it all. You have had it all. You do not have to fall and remain there. You can fall and wake up and dust dust yourself and move forward. This is an example of falling and waking and falling but waking up and going. So, and as you have heard, if you are struggling, help is just a phone call away. Do not struggle alone. There are people you can speak to. And if you are struggling, it is not the end of the day. There'll be some light someday. So just continue struggle and reach out and you will be helped. Till another episode, God bless.